And they go, oh, like Black Keys? And I'm like, no, not like Black Keys. And they're like, oh, you mean like Avenged Sevenfold? And I'm like, no, not like that. I don't know, I'm like, classic hard rock. Does that make any sense? But no, it doesn't really. So I don't know.
That has a completely different meaning nowadays, to many people who listen to rock music. Rock music has changed so much that, how you might define it, they think of it as being something completely different,
Completely different. And then to make it even more difficult, I'm playing pretty much straight up, I would say, like late 70s hard rock.
Yeah.
But I'm playing tuned down. The guitar is called a baritone electric guitar, or a normal guitar sits around E, guys like Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and, a bunch of the Seattle guys maybe tuned down to like E flat or D. My guitars are longer in scale and tuned all the way down to B. They're very, very heavy. They're kind of what a lot of the really heavy metal guys these days play. But then I with the amplification go for more of a classic rock distortion. So my stuff, if I was playing in a normal key, probably would sound a lot more familiar to a lot of people. But because I tune it way down, it sounds kind of dark and swampy, and in a weird way, a little more modern, even though it's really not. So I'm on that island of misfit toys, I guess as you call it.
No. Well, when I was listening to the songs from the new EP, I was telling my friend Mel, she lives in the UK, and she also bought your EP, and I said, gosh, it's driving me crazy. He sounds like somebody, but I can't figure out who. But in my head, I had the 70s, that hard rock type of songs. And she said, maybe it was somebody like Zeppelin or, I forgot who else she said. But, we both agreed that you do sound like somebody, and it might just be the style of music and the way your voice is. But I have to tell you what she said. She said, as my mom would have said, he's got a dark brown voice like a rich chocolate.
Ooh, I love that. That's fantastic. Oh, see, and the cool thing is that she's right. It is. I mean, I would say my music. You start talking British bands, and it's it's Judas Priest. It's a little bit of Iron Maiden. It's a little bit of AC/DC. It's a little bit of Zeppelin, all that kind of stuff. But then once again, I don't have the vocals that those guys have. If I did, I'd be singing it. If I did, I would probably be in an Iron Maiden cover band. But I don't, and so it's like I'm just singing the way I sing, and then it's also tuning the guitar, where the guitars are sitting as well. It just makes it sound kind of in a weird way a little more 70s, kind of more like in that sort of like Yes and old Fleetwood Mac and that kind of stuff. Like it's really sort of mellower before it became big and rock became big and arena rock. It kind of feels a little more like that. So.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. Thank you so much for the support and all the love on Twitter and the internet and whatnot. Because honestly, it's just James and I sort of putting out songs and hoping people enjoy them. And when people do, it's just like, oh my God, we couldn't be happier.
Well, Joe, I'm kind of curious. Joe Satriani, he is just kind of world-renowned for his skill in guitar. And what was that like for you, Ed, studying under him? Because he's almost like a guitar, he's like a rock god, a guitar rock god, in my opinion. He played with some of the world's greats,
No, he's considered like the best kind of guitar of that. If it went from Hendrix, the guys who sort of changed guitar, it's, Hendrix completely turned guitar upside down. Eddie Van Halen, completely changed the way people played and looked at guitar. And then Satriani was that guy that he was so clinical and so good and so had such incredible precision, but he could still play with soul. And I'll tell you, instead of it being a good thing studying with him, it was almost in a weird way, I don't want to say turn off, but like it sent my playing into a different area, because what he wanted you to do is running through your modes and running through these scales and exercises with a metronome, like pop, 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 and he could do it. And then when he would play, he could play all this beautiful, it was like classical almost, like gorgeous runs and stuff with such soul. And then you look at the guys guys, that were trying to play like him, and they couldn't. They could do it. They could play what he was playing, but it sounded like that they were just basically going by rote, that they were just kind of going and hitting notes, and there wasn't a feeling. They weren't hearing that in their head, and it wasn't coming through their hands. And so, and there was, I think, Kurt Hammett and Steve Vai and Alex Skolnick and all these super famous guitarists that came who were able to learn from Joe and then become, their own musicians and have their own voice. But, for me, after a few years, I ended up, not playing with Joe, and actually in a weird way kind of going back and learning, because, someone like Jimmy Page is, is an incredible guitarist, but, live he's a little sloppy, and it wasn't all about precision and shredding. It was just about sort of playing, what he heard in his head and transposing it to the guitar. And so that's kind of where in a weird way my playing regressed on purpose, because I just kind of wanted to play what felt right and not what I should be playing, and not trying to play to show off. Because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of guitar wars and, shredding this and, 8-finger hammer-ons, and everybody seemed to be just doing these guitar gymnastics. And that didn't really, to me, then you turn on AC/DC, Angus Young is definitely not one of the best guitarists in the world, but you can't not tap your foot every time an AC/DC song comes on. And it's and that to me seemed like a lot more fun. So.
Right. What's your favorite song off of your new EP?
Wow. I would have to say, and that's the reason why we named the EP Lights Out Love. I would say it is that one. It just has all the fun. It's so fun to play live. It has, I don't want to call them tricks, but it has so many hard rock tricks, the big opening with big crashes of the bass and the drums and the, switching keys for the guitar solo, and it's definitely riff rocky, and there's just something about it that I love that song. I love to play it live. We just love it. So it's I would say probably to me I like it's a dark story, and it to me it's just kind of, I don't know. I think that's probably, but I without it's just kicking into April Riders is a whole lot of fun. That's like an older tune that I used to play that song. I wrote that song for Mad Theory back in the day. It's in the 90s. That song's so old, and it's kind of been completely reimagined, and it's been a lot of fun. And Joe Sifford was brilliant bringing in the harp on that. God knows how I'm gonna do that live, because I wouldn't know. Only thing I could do with a harmonica is throw it at somebody. So, but we'll have to figure that out. But so I kind of, I would say of all of them, I really love Lights Out Loud.
Well, I think it might just be the girl in me, but although I love all of the music, A Life Insufficient just caught my attention a little bit more, and I think it's because, I don't know, it's more ballady, but also your voice. It just, well, I'm going to throw it out there because I know what everybody else is thinking. It's sexier.
Yeah, well, you know what? And I thank you very much. It's very, very kind of you. I absolutely love that song. If there's one regret I have about that song, I wish we'd done it acoustic. I was having trouble finding a baritone acoustic. I think that song would have been, and if we play live, I may try and track down a baritone acoustic and play that just myself, acoustically on stage. And I absolutely love that song. It's a little hard for us to recreate live right now. And to be perfectly honest, if I wasn't such a meathead, all my stuff would be like that. I think I would be a far more successful musician with my band. I've got a baritone voice. So if I was playing, if I would just stop wanting to rock out and start playing, like ballady stuff that was kind of more soulful and more airy, I think I'd be a lot more successful with my music. But I can't say no, So I just I keep it. But thank you for that. I really do love that song a lot, and hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to play that thing. I can play it live. It just unfortunately in a weird way it kind of gets a little heavy live. So it's just I gotta figure out how to nail that one. You're Not Alone. A lot of people really love that song. And
good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
And mostly women, right?
Yeah. Well, I know. Maybe not. I don't know. But a lot of people like that song a lot, and that's awesome. It's a song that means a lot to me, and I gotta figure out how to play it live with the band, whether I bring it down lower or kind of keep it big, and because it is kind of ballady and kind of airy, and so it's you want to be able to do it well.
Well, Ed, you mentioned you would like to be able to do some ballady stuff. Well, think about this. Michael Bolton did that. He started out kind of really rocky, and then he transitioned to more of a balladeer, and man, it paid off. It worked well for him. So don't that might be something to do down the road for you.
Oh, it is. I've got way more ballady songs than Life Insufficient. I've got about I probably have 30 finished done songs that are just waiting to be recorded, and A Life Insufficient is not by any means the slowest or the most airy, the most ballady. Not even a word.
I know. I didn't either. Just threw it out there.
It'll come right. And there's also just the opportunity. Like I'm so happy for them, but I'm so jealous of the guys on Nashville, that TV show, because they're all recording,
awesome.
They're putting out records, and I'm just like, oh my God, how phenomenal would that have been to be on that show, and when you're not acting, be rehearsing and putting the music together, and playing with all those country. I mean, I'd do a country record in a second. It would be so fun. It'd probably fit me a whole lot better than my dark swamp rock. And so you wait for opportunities that to come along. And James and I right now are playing music we love, but I'd welcome the opportunity to play some different stuff and record with some different people and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I just can't picture you singing country right off the top of my head. I guess maybe because I've listened to your rock songs so much.
Well,
I could see, you changing and spicing it up and doing different things, so you're not known for just one thing. That way you'll fit into any venue of any type of fan.
Yeah, no, that's very true. When I think country, I think like, Zac Brown Band. They're big, they're pretty rocking. He's pretty cool. He's not 10-gallon cowboy hat country. He's got his own sort of vibe. So I think that, and they have a band on their label which is called either Blackberry Smoke or Black Cherry Smoke. I always forget which one it is. I've seen them play live. They're unbelievable. Reminds you of like Leonard Skinner, and so they're kind of that like kind of southern country rock, And so I could see myself, I'd lap that up with a spoon, the opportunity to, play that kind of stuff, because it's pretty rocking and in the wheelhouse of what I could do, but just, a completely different, different sort of vibe and approach, which would be fun to try. Maybe fail, but, try anyway.
Well, it's funny because when my mom was into country music, I used to make fun of her and tell her to get out the spoons, like I tell Dawn every now and again, and stuff like that. And that was the days of, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton and that. And not that there was anything wrong with it. It just at that time I was into rock music, and so I would just make fun of her. Well, as the years went by, I discovered George Strait in a movie and then started listening to more and more country music. And when I would tell my daughter about it, I said, oh, you should listen to this song. And she'd do the same thing I did to my mom, kind of like roll her eyes at me. And she would be good enough to come with me. Of course, she was not of age yet, so she had no choice. But when I wanted to go to a concert, I'd take her with me. And I would tell her, I says, well, Olivia, you have to understand, this country music is not like it was when my mother listened to it. It was more like a pop rock, pop country, different. It's a more mainstream. It goes into the pop, charts as well. And then just over the last couple of years, all of a sudden she's so into country music, I can't even begin to believe it. And I have to laugh the way that just keeps going from our one generation to the next. But it's because it's changed so much.
It changes so much, and also access to it. I wasn't really exposed much to it, and now my management represents Zac Brown. So I've gone to a couple of his concerts, and I'm like, wow, these guys are great, and people are, people are watching Nashville and really kind of getting into like all the songs that they have there, and then releasing them